everyone, welcome to Natural Prada. This video is going to talk about our homeschooling or unschooling approach with Ava and kind of how we have got to this place, how we do things, and what it used to be like with her. So when she was 3.5 years old, we lived in Phoenix, and I found a really great school that was a preparatory preschool, and we thought it sounded great. We had always noticed that Ava was always, she always like caught on to things really quickly, and we just thought she was really smart. So in this school, they taught them Chinese and Spanish, and they taught them how to read and write really early, and we just thought it sounded great. So they only let like a certain amount in because it was also like a daycare as well. So she was there all day long. I would wake her up at like 6:30 in the morning. I would try and get her ready, get her off to school so that I could go to work. Almost every single morning she would be crying, whether it was because she was tired, she didn't want to go to school, she wanted to stay with me, she wanted me to cuddle with her, she wanted to stay with Korey, she just did not want to go to school. She didn't want to be up that early doing things. It was really, you know, like reflecting back on it, it was not really a good time because just the schedule that we had to put her on and fight with her really for everything because she simply just did not want to do it. And at the time, we were very much a part of society and doing things the way that people generally do them. So, you know, I would tell her, you know, mommy has to go to work, daddy has to go to work, and you have to go to school. And that's just the way that it is. Unfortunately, we didn't see at the time that there are, of course, other options. And we quickly discovered that. But she was there probably 1.5 to 2 years before we decided that it would be best for me to quit my job and stay home with her. We came to that decision because we realized that we did not need 2 really nice expensive cars. We just needed one inexpensive car to get us from point A to point B. We didn't need tons of these electronics, and you know, because we were always getting whatever came out, you know, something new from Apple came out, we would buy it. So we were just consuming so many things that were so unnecessary, and we kind of weighed our options. You know, it was either I kept working so that we could keep acquiring all these unnecessary things and have somebody else kind of raise our daughter, or we could, you know, stop buying into everything and really just have what we need to live simply, and then I would be able to stay home with Ava and we could raise her the way that we really wanted to. And really at the time it wasn't necessarily the curriculum that we were looking at. It was more so we started noticing her attitude, because she had been, when we lived in Illinois before we moved to Arizona, my mom had watched her. So she was not around a lot of kids because she was never in a daycare. And it was pretty much the way that we wanted to raise her was how she acted. So she never threw fits, she never threw, you know, like temper tantrums, anything like that. She was always just very calm, and she listened to us very well. And it wasn't until she went to school and she started, you know, that's where she learned how to lie. She started lying to us about little silly things. But it was just the fact that she was picking this up from outside sources that we just didn't really feel was necessary if she would be home with me. She was also, that's when she started throwing fits and everything, and we would ask her, Ava, why are you acting this way? You know, you've never done this before, why are you doing this? And she would tell us, the kids at school do it. So, just little things like that, you know, some of the little girls, and boys too, they were mean sometimes, and pick on people, and just things that we didn't feel she needed to be exposed to, really at that age even. So we just decided that it would be best for her to be home with me. We also made that decision because for health reasons. We started looking into, well, I started looking into all the toxins and everything. Especially food and then body products. So at school, you know, they wanted them to wash their hands all the time. And it wasn't allowed that we could send her with soap, so she was using that soap. And I knew that, I mean, me and Korey knew that that wasn't good soap that they were using. It was filled with toxins and chemicals, and it was the antibacterial, which is, I mean, even worse than, you know, just regular soap. So that was one thing. Just like the cleaning products that they use, like at the end of the day, because it was a daycare and everything, so they cleaned everything down with bleach, and it was just really strong. So for her to be in that, we didn't want her to be in that environment either, taking in like a lot of different toxic chemicals. And then it came to food as well. We weren't vegan at the time, but we were starting to eat organic. And we weren't giving her like fruit snacks or cookies from the store, things like that that had all these like crazy ingredients in them. We were giving her more of like a whole foods diet, so we were giving her a lot of organic things, and it didn't even bother her, the fact that she was eating differently, because it wasn't even that different at the time. We were still giving her like bread, cheese, so she would have like grilled cheeses or like egg sandwiches, things like that. Or if like the kids had pizza one day, I would make a homemade pizza and send it with her. But it was her teacher, so they were required to give them milk. And we didn't give Ava milk very much, ever. And they pushed the milk so much, and her teacher, I had asked her teacher not to give her milk. I said, we send Ava with water, and when she gets home, she has a glass of milk. She does not need the milk, because their milk was not even organic, which now I know that that doesn't, you know, really matter as much, but it still had all the hormones and everything like that in it. And they kept giving it to her, you know, after I had asked quite a few times for them not to. So those were really the two reasons why we decided to homeschool her. And then later we realized, you know, that it was the best because of the curriculum and the way that the whole school system is structured and set up as well. So, at first I was doing like worksheets with her, and I was having her, you know, write and practice writing her name, practice her numbers. I was doing addition with her, and it was still more of a structure, just a little bit less. So it wasn't like, Ava, you have to be up at this time and we have to do this, this, and this. It was more like I let her wake up when she wanted to wake up, and then we would work on things. But it was still me saying, okay, we need to sit down and you need to work on your math problems, or you need to work on your writing. And she just didn't want to. She wanted to go play, she wanted to go outside, she wanted to do, you know, all these other things, and we just didn't feel that it was working, doing it that way. And I started looking into unschooling. And around this time, Korey was also, you know, he was looking into a lot of things just about our society in general. And he really looked into the curriculum that they're teaching in school and how they teach it to kids and everything like that. So we were noticing how broken it is and how they teach them so much of the wrong things. The point of our life here is to experience, and we learn through experiencing. When a child is placed in a classroom, they're placed in a box, and they're not learning anything. They're memorizing what they're taught to memorize. It's not like they are learning anything that is useful or beneficial unless they're going to be put on the path that we consider like the right path, where they're going to go to college and get a 9-to-5 job and probably be miserable the rest of their lives. That is what school is for. It's not to teach them about themselves, and that's what this life is for us to discover who we are and our purpose in this life. And unfortunately, in the classroom, that's not what, you know, that's not what's being taught. You're being taught that 1 + 1 is 2. Or you're being taught that this is how we write, and this is how you write your name, and that's who you are, your name. And that's just, you're not your name. You're so much more than that, but that's just not what they're taught. And it's also, you know, if you look at public schools, there's so many negatives to it. People are starting to homeschool now simply because they see it as there's drugs and there's bullying. And sure, that like those are some aspects of it, but they're missing the main point, which is what is being taught and how it's being taught. Yes, there are bullies, but you also have to look at, well, where is that bullying come from? It's coming from the parents. The kids aren't just picking this up out of nowhere. You know, they're not just, one day they're like, I'm just going to be an asshole and pick on all these little kids. They're doing it for a reason. And really, the school doesn't help either, because you're put on like a scale. So you're compared to everybody else. And that was another thing that me and Korey talked about, was at the time, we liked that people kept telling us that Ava was so smart and that she was like so far ahead of everybody else. And it's not about being smart because she knows like what an adjective is, because really, who the fuck cares what an adjective is? It honestly doesn't even matter. We want her to be, you know, to feel fulfilled in her life, not just by somebody giving her an A on one of her tests. But that's how kids are taught. You know, either you're getting A's and you're doing everything right, and you're going to be successful in life, or you're on the other scale, or you're somewhere in between. Either way, you're being compared to everybody around you, and that teaches you then to just compare yourself the rest of your life. That you're taught that from such a young age. And I know there are a lot of teachers that notice that too, how the schooling is set up and all of this testing and everything is just so unnecessary, and it just programs so much in their head. I don't know, I could go on and on about the, you know, like public schooling and curriculum and everything like that, but really how we decided to unschool her was that we just saw it all as unnecessary. Now, every once in a while she will tell me that she wants me to write math problems down, and she wants to do this, this, and this, and that is simply because she started with that, and so it has carried on. Now, like, as of now, we do not follow any specific curriculum with her. She does have, like, worksheets and stuff. My mom had gotten her some, and she does work on it when she wants to, but I think that it's because it's in front of her. It's not because she really feels like she wants to do that. You know, if she sees, like, the binder sitting there, she'll open it and she'll work on a couple things. But she also wants the reward of me telling her, yes, you got all of them right. And she likes that. So we kind of have to, we're still, like, moving away from that. Not necessarily that it's a bad thing that she wants to learn that, but she needs to realize why she's wanting to learn that. And it's not because she truly has an interest in learning about adjectives and adverbs. It's because she has been taught that this is what you're supposed to be learning. And she also likes when people tell her that she's smart. Just like she likes when people tell her that she's pretty and beautiful, and which we always, which she is beautiful. We're all beautiful, and there's nothing wrong with being beautiful, but, or smart, but we have to remind her that there's so much more to you than just how you look, and and that people think you're smart because you know, A, B, C, and D. There's so much more to you than that. And I think that that's more important than focusing on if she knows how to add and subtract and divide and multiply. We also think that we learn, well, we don't think, we know that we learn through experiencing. So every day you go through all these different things, and it's all an experience, and it's all a learning process. So even if me and her are going to the grocery store, you can make that, I mean, you don't even have to make it a learning experience. It is a learning experience. She talks to everybody, and she, she's always wanting to take more in. So let's say we're going to the grocery store and she ends up talking to someone and they ask her, I don't know, I can't even think of an example. She just talks to people about different things. We were getting plants the one day, me and her. We love gardening and we love plants. And we went to go get plants, and she was talking to an older man about just different kinds of plants. And some people would just see that as her just communicating with someone, but it's not. She is learning to socialize with people not just her age, but people of all different ages, because everybody has something to offer to you. Sure, it's important for her to be with kids her own age and to socialize with them, but it's so much more, I mean, not more important, but it's just as important for her to socialize with people of all different ages, because she can learn from anybody and everybody. So just by her having that conversation about the different kinds of plants and how you take care of them and what you do with them, I mean, she's learning right there. And that doesn't come from sitting down and putting a book in front of her. Yes, she can learn about plants in a book, but doing the process of it, you learn so much more by touching the plant and by you planting it in the ground and you taking care of it. You're going to retain that information more than if I say, this is how you grow a plant and this is what happens. So I think it's important that you, with unschooling, that you just see everything as a learning experience, no matter what it is. And really, I think the most important is that she's out in nature. So we're outside a lot. We're looking at things. I know I just made the video about when she was throwing she had a fit the other day, and how I handled it. And, you know, we walked around and we looked at things and we talked about different plants and leaves and things like that. And that is just, that is a learning process too. We're picking different leaves from different trees and making a book of it and figuring out, you know, what trees they came from. And, you know, that is learning. That's what learning is. So a typical day from us can range anywhere from her wanting to go play outside and then coming in and wanting to like build with blocks, or there's these really great books that I just found, and it's called Herb Fairies, and it's like a series and a learning curriculum, they call it. But it's really more about, hold on a minute, I'm doing a video. It's more about, you know, learning what different things are about plants and herbs and stuff. And it's not, we've had trouble finding, like, because she loves to read, and it comes from me reading to her at such a young age, and then getting her to read. She wanted to read at a really young age as well, and so that's one of her interests. And we don't want to just say, no, you know, you can't read, because obviously there's information that she can learn from in there as well. It's the problem was finding books that do not have conflict in them, and that don't have like just stupid crap all in them, because a lot of them are just about fighting, or somebody has to save someone and that's what it's about. It's never just like telling you about something. It's always there's something wrong and they have to fix something, and someone's the hero and someone's bad and someone's good, and that just goes against our beliefs, really, that there is no good and bad. Everybody is just how they are because that's how they are.
Like the candy fairies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a troll and then the candy fairies.
Yep.
Or like do something.
Mm-hmm. So I just found this series, and it's really just like a learning tool. So maybe, you know, like one day she'll be reading that, and then there's different activities that they can do with that as well.
Activities.
So, and then she cooks things, and so she's learning how to, like, sometimes at night she likes to have couscous. She loves couscous, so she is learning to make it by herself. So she's measuring and pouring, and she's watching it, stirring it, and that's learning. It's all about hands-on and just learning through your experiences. And really, we found that this is the best way to do it. We don't push anything ever. She does write, and she writes because she enjoys it, and she likes to write down, she comes up with stories, so she writes down stories, she writes down songs, but it's never because I sit down and tell her that she has to write. It's because she truly wants to sit down and write things and draw. That's another thing. She draws all the time, and that's using her imagination. That's her learning who her true self is, getting closer to that, because she's doing what she wants to do, and it's tapping into, you know, her true self, really, and using her creativity. So, I don't know. I think that's it. If I think of anything else, maybe I'll make like a part 2, but pretty much that's why we have chose to do things that way. She enjoys it. It's very, you know, not really structured at all. It's very unstructured. Okay, I will add this. It doesn't have anything to do with the school, but as soon as we stopped really giving her a bedtime, me and Korey had a talk with her because she always wanted to stay up with us because me and Korey stay up a little bit later than her. And she always would say, you know, why can't I stay up too? Which we always make a conscious effort to treat Ava just as ourselves because she is just another person, just with less experiences throughout her life. So we, you know, by giving her a bedtime, it was really holding us authoritative to her. And as soon as we pretty much cut out all schedule so she doesn't have to wake up at a certain time, she's free to wake up when she feels like waking up and start doing things when she wants to. And then as soon as we started saying, well, when you start feeling tired and feeling like you need to go to bed, then you go to bed, then you'll be able to go to sleep whenever you want to. So her bedtime was always 9 o'clock, and I would always try to put her to bed at 9 o'clock. And then she would come, it was when we were living in Phoenix, and she would come down the stairs and tell me, I need water. I need this. I'm not tired. I don't want to go to bed now. So then she would end up going to bed at like 10, 10:30, 11 sometimes. I mean, she would just drag it out as long as possible. So then we started telling her, when you can go to bed, when you feel like you are tired, then you can pick whenever you go to sleep. And now, like, as soon as maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock hits, she's like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now. We don't tell her anymore, Ava, it's bedtime. She just picks whenever she wants to. So as soon as we did that, now it's not a fight. She just goes right to sleep when she wants to. And it's even, like I said, like 8:30, sometimes a little bit before if she's like really played a lot that day. So I think it's really, I mean, we need to listen to our kids and value their, you know, value their thoughts and their self. Value them as a person, and not that they're somebody under you, just that they're equal to you. And I think it just makes things a lot easier. Yeah, but I think that's it. Like I said, if I think of anything else that I missed, then I'll make a part 2. And I might make other ones too, just of different activities that we do, because obviously that was just, you know, a couple days I gave an example of what we do. But every day is different because it's so unstructured. But yeah, if anybody has questions, feel free to ask them. And if you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. And thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.